AI question, it's really a data question, but there is a lot of AI that's being brought to bear in social media right now to do a better job of analyzing what subject things are about, whether something is actually sarcastic or not. We talked about sentiment analysis, emotion analysis, there's all sorts of things that are being brought to bear on social data. And the answer is that all of that public data really is available now and likely will continue to be.
So as we come up upon the hour, I'd like our panelists to do is give you a summary. What does this group do next? What would you tell them to go? What would be your next?
So I think as far as a project management viewpoint, you'll have to decide whether the work that you do will have some aspect of artificial intelligence in it. Are you working perhaps on some type of, whether it be in the medical field or whether it be in the IT field, where you're going to build in some artificial intelligence? If you're in that space, then it probably behooves you to start learning as much as you can about it, because somehow that's going to be incorporated. And I know a lot of people, I also run a networking group, and I know a lot of people ask about how do they change careers? How do they move into a new industry or learn a new domain, right? That's always a question that we always want to know. And this is an old thing, we've all done this before. I'm sure all of you have moved from one domain to another. Perhaps at least a lot of you have done that before. And how you do that, you start reading about it, you start experimenting with it, you try to learn some of those things, you talk to people in your network. That'll be important for you to do. I mean, there's things out there where you can learn that. You might want to look at Kaggle, for instance, where you can actually go in and try AI experiments. Those things are all available to us. So if you're in the field where you think that that's going to be something that's going to be built into a product or a service that you provide, then it behooves you to start learning about that and try to make that change in your career or try to learn these new things. If you're not somebody that's a project manager, that perhaps you don't think your domain is going to be changed that much by AI, then I think you also want to think about what kind of tools are you going to use that are going to start to use AI. Even as a project manager, maybe if you're working in some area that won't be affected by AI, I think that you're going to find that even your tools are going to start to use AI. So you might want to learn some of that there too. I think the other thing too is that it would be good for you to take some time and network with other project managers that are in this space. I know that these guys here would probably agree with me. We're all available to talk to you, and I know there's others here that also work in the AI space. And we'd be happy to share with you, what it looks like, what a typical project looks like to go through, and you can learn from us.
My advice would be that irrespective of what you do, if you are sitting in this room or one of the satellites here as part of this, you need to learn about AI. The reason is that it's not a question of it taking your job. It's going to be part of speech. It's going to be part of it's ubiquitous in terms of where you will find it. And especially if you have anything to do at all with what PMI stands for, you are going to see it impact you in two different ways. One is you're going to use it as a tool, right? Because there are certain problems that we are seeing AI solve that cannot be solved by any other computational model today. So it isn't going away. It's not a fad, if anybody had a doubt about that. So that means that at least at a high level, you need to, and I think George was suggesting this earlier, you need to understand the terms, what they mean, because it's going to come across your desk, somebody's going to say something, you need to be pretty comfortable with it. It shouldn't be something that you're hearing for the first time by any means. There are courses that are very easy courses from a number of institutions that you can do online. The barrier to entry is so low that I cannot imagine any of you having a reason not to learn, right? The other part of it is that apart from it being a tool in your hands and being comfortable with it, you are going to have to manage projects and systems, and this is something that Henry was talking about, that use AI in some shape or form. You can't be in a position that when it goes into the AI hole and you're not comfortable with it anymore. So this is the future, and I think you were talking about it, that, short term, we may be, underwhelmed, but long term, we are going to be overwhelmed. So it is there, it is going to impact us in a big way over the years. And so my advice would be definitely to go through get a certification, get something that gives you a level of confidence that this is something that, you can manipulate. Thank you.
I would say that as project managers, we all know that we have to have a level of knowledge and understanding of what we're managing. But we're not just carrying out a set of tasks, but there's whether it be a chemical process or a financial process, there is a level of knowledge that we all have to have in order to be successful. Well, I think it's the same thing in this field. As this becomes more and more part of what we're doing, you as a project manager need to be able to understand that and be able to have those discussions about what data sets we're pulling in, or what will the bias look like if we don't pull in the right data sets. So it really is imperative that you have a working level of knowledge. I would also say that I think that if we think that these systems are going to be organically grown within our organizations, I think we're mistaken. I think there's going to be a large number of acquisitions. And so you may actually be put in charge of integrating an acquisition and having to deal with not only the integration of a company and new culture, but also a bunch of data and a bunch of information that maybe not be compatible with your organization. And what do I do with that? How do I integrate that? How do I work through that? And we as project managers are probably the best suited to be able to deal with that, but we need to educate ourselves.
Yeah, I echo all the comments that you've heard in the summary. I think as David said, there's, if the areas that you're working on as a project manager are not core to the differentiation of your company, it's very unlikely they're gonna assign a data scientist to you. They're really expensive. Google and Facebook are paying them $500,000 a year. And so the data scientists that are gonna be in your company are gonna be the ones working on the absolute core things that differentiate your company. If you're managing marketing projects, sales projects, HR, that's not where the data scientists are gonna be. And so you have to get used to buying technology that has AI in it and figuring out how you're gonna test that and make sure that's gonna work. If you are in one of those core areas, then you have to think about a lot of the things we talked about today. How do you get the data? How do you clean it? How do you make sure it's free of bias? How do you test, right? And a lot of times what I think makes sense, so I told you at the top, I'm not a project manager, but I have many years of being a product manager. And I think one of the things to do is to put on a product management hat, where you're kind of the adult in the room who has to make those trade-offs. You're the one who has to take the advice of all the different specialists out there and say, here's how I think we're going to make this decision. Here's how I know this product is ready. I mean, I used to tell people as a product manager, when everyone was equally mad at me, it was time to ship. And that's pretty much what was going to happen, is you're gonna have a lot more judgment, a lot more business judgment that you're gonna have to apply. And I also echo what Henry said, more than happy to help any of you. I'll give you my email address, it's mike@mikemoran.com. Email me anytime you want, ask me a question, I'm happy to answer it. 5 years from now, tell me you were here and I'll answer the question. If you send me 5 emails in a week, I'm gonna send you a consulting proposal. But I'm more than happy to help anybody here. I think project managers are a critical part of how AI is really gonna roll out. And so I applaud you for being interested in the subject and thinking about where you're gonna take the industry.
So my recommendations are going to be slightly different, only because I'm doing this project that I'm sharing with all of you. So as I always like to say, yes, I have a last name I can do something with, and I have a YouTube channel for those that don't know about it. And I have embarked, starting on 2020, even though it's a multi-year effort for myself, where I'm doing an AI video blog. And the project that I'm doing right now is establishing an AI office. So I am sharing my quote-unquote reference architecture, which I have developed, and I'm walking through all of the pieces that an enterprise should have to implement an AI project. So if you go to youtube.com/, this is gonna be really hard to remember, Keep Pace, KEEP, that's my YouTube channel. All I ask is that if you like it, subscribe to the channel, pass it on to your friends. So right now, it's a reference architecture. All of the videos, by the way, are about 3.5 minutes in length. What I do is I quickly explain what the issue is, what you need to be thinking about, and then in the description, I give you the links for additional reading. So if you can't spare 3.5 minutes to get yourself acclimated, that's what I have. Charles? Yes?
Thank you all. We have, I know we're running late, but we can take 1 or 2 questions if anybody's got them. And that's about the limit. Otherwise, any questions at all? Okay, just remember this because this was our first panel discussion. I hope it worked well for everybody. Next month, Sciathlon. Oh, we got it. Yeah. We will post the results of the Pigeonhole survey on the website. Apologies for any technical glitches that we had, but everything seems to work, at least over here. So, gentlemen, thank you. We will do this again, yes or no? Something like this? Yeah. Okay. So, thank you for helping me meet one of my strategic goals for the year, which was to have a panel discussion. It was 1999. Good things come to those who wait. We have a little giveaway here. You need to take pictures, right? So let me just hand these out. Get it on the mic. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Sandeepa. Henry, George, well done. Thank you. And now, our photographer. We will see you all next month for the project manager as expert. And thank you again.